on the mid and low ground, where if you just keep yourselves in the game long enough, you know these two will find a refresh that will carry them into a top 5 situation. And that's exactly what they did here in game 2.
Yeah, and I think that's going to bring them so much more confidence as well. I mean, we spoke so much about them at the beginning of the day, not having the greatest performances leading into the major finals. They've had glimpses of it, they've had moments, but they haven't had consistency. So now for them to have such a great start and to have all that firepower beside you, even when things don't go so well, they've got to be bringing with confidence right now.
And they are our reigning champions in terms of FNCS majors, guys, given that they did win way back in August. It feels like centuries ago now with Brodoxy. There must be something about being in a finals lobby that really boosts their confidence. I wonder if we can see the leaderboard actually one more time, because I'm just really curious to know where our other big duos are standing at the moment. Vico and Malabuka, for example, that wasn't the best game for them last time round, so I'd love to see where they are on the leaderboard. If not, we'll catch up with them in a bit. I'm wondering with these guys if consistency is going to be an issue from game to game, Mini-Miner.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm just looking at the leaderboard right now on the monitor here. 15th with 22nd they got in that last game. So again, just going down in that early stages of the end game. We saw some good things from them, right? In that very first game, we saw some exciting moments, but that's when it pays off. When it doesn't pay off, Levin, that's maybe what we're likely to see, some of those sort of mid-game eliminations.
Still early, doors. Still early. Yeah. I'm not panicking yet. Still early.
Okay. Bit of favoritism, bit of bias towards Vico, maybe?
It's not biased, it's just still too early, man. We've still got so many games left.
Fine, not panicking on his behalf, but I will. So let's head to our third game of today. 4 more games to go with Taco and Takata.
With Lobby 3 just around the corner for game day number 1, Takata, there is still ample opportunity for any kind of shortcomings that duos have experienced in these first 2 games to sort of be course corrected in our next 4 matches.
Yeah, we've had a lot of mix-ups, a lot of teams that are starting off a bit rough. I'm thinking mainly of Swizzy and Pixie, but on the contrary, we have duos like Chino and Pablo that back in trios, they were actually champions of Major 3. So now coming in as reigning champions, Chino Pablo playing as a duo, doing incredibly well. That last match was insane how many elims they were able to get and somehow clutch up that placement despite the tough zone pull. The good news is the battle bus is ready, so let's head on to the third match of the day.
It's always so sick to see when that dominoes moment takes over, though, right? Chino, Pablo, if they get one, they just start converting them into so many after the fact. They really found a nice flow state in that end game of lobby number 2, and that sort of momentum can really build throughout the course of a day. So at our halfway point, technically speaking, for game day number 1, the main takeaway that I've got so far, Takata, is that you can never expect any sort of guarantees. If you think that you're going to be contested, if you think you're not going to be contested, the lobbies are constantly shifting. And for no Aurelian reason, they're hoping to make it 3-0 sweep right now. Xtedi adapted, be able to escape momentarily. They've opted to just go for the deeper drop. They don't actually want to challenge Reason and Noah at the gas station, but that might mean Delio, a little bit of a wandering eye here, trying to gauge what's actually taking place and whether or not he could look to try and interrupt it.
What I was alluding to earlier, Swizzy Pixie hasn't quite gone their way, but looks like there's no quick aggression. Sharktini, they've been the ones dominating Wonky. It hasn't been clean sweeps of Sharktini eliminating both Huddy and Fishy. It's been more either they do a lot of tags or maybe they elim one of them and then they end up rotating out, and Darmdemish kind of get a little free prize on the side.
I'm also not too pressed about Teeny and Shark. I know we didn't get to actually witness too much of what was taking place with them in that last lobby, but Teeny, we know what you are, okay, buddy. We saw the clips. The production might not have, caught you in 4K, but better not see any more of that user error with the wonky wheel today. Too strong of a team be going outside like that. Keto, Hyjo are also being another one of, I think, leading contenders. Some of the action over by Dark Dominion. Gonzo and Truly just waiting with the trap, though. Swizzy not going to be taken out just yet, but it has left Swizzy and Pixie in a dire situation here. Now looking to try and see if they can bite back. And it is a 1-for-1 so far. But now Keto, Ijo, the door's been swung wide open for them to just play cleanup crew. Truly trying to see if he can escape with his life. But Keto, Ijo, they don't want to let this opportunity go. 4 points on an elimination, but he will escape into the tunnels.
What? Dark Dominion was supposed to be uncontested, Taka. Why is there 5 duos here? Why is the whole lobby?
This happens every time, Takata. Every single time. I think we saw maybe one Div Cup finals where Swizzy Pixie weren't surprise contested. This mid-map position just draws too much aggression. I think that's part of the reason why it can be difficult to kind of get a nice rhythm build up, but Nathan, Nebs, Humble Hills, they're gonna have to try and defend their opening points here. Darm Deemish just continuing to go on tour around the map today.
Shout out Nathan Nebs, by the way. The prior season, all they were getting were top 20s, and then right when this season started, 8th, 9th in the Div Cup. Now here in the major finals, top 3 on the leaderboard. Looking incredibly strong as they also have the upper hand in this fight.
This is so awkward right now, though, for Darm and Deemish. It's going to be down exclusively to Darm, I feel like, to try and turn this one around. Deemish incredibly low and separated from his duo, but manages to work his way back together. So the Flowbraid Mist Grenade will have some value, but Nathan and Ev, they got a lot of surge out of that. I don't think that they ate as many big shots as what they were delivering. Now it seems like it's getting a little bit more scrappy, but Shark Teeny looking to just pick up right where they left off over by Wonky Land, northern side. It seems like Huddy and Fishy were maybe trying to have it be a little bit more of a clean split here by opting more towards the north side of this POI, but Shark and Teeny, they've been very vocal here, Takata. They are refusing to budge. They don't want to allow Huddy and Fishy the opportunity to even make it to the Major 1 Summit land, much less make it into a strong placement finish for Game 3.
Now you know the pressure is going to be on for Huddy and Fishy. They are not going to want to split this drop. Well, Shark and Teeny are not going to want to, as they're going to do everything they can, like you mentioned, Taco, to not have them get top 20 here. Now, despite Shark Teeny not having the greatest match for Game 2 with the 27th, they still held up in terms of eliminations. Issue is, it's 12 matches to be played out today, so it is all about that consistency once we get to the second day, but almost halfway through day 1 here, and just gonna be some more shots back and forth.
Huddy and Fishy are landlocked right now, though, inside that north building over by Wonky Land. Wouldn't be surprised to see further regression still, though. Squibbly continuing to build in action here. Reason and Noah looking to get fraggy. Done a great job at least defending the opening contention by the gas station, but now clearing out the POI. That's a whole nother can of worms they've yet to open here in Game 3. Xteri adapted, really making them work for it too. Making good use some of the fish that are already available to build up some of their shields here. Reason wants to go for the opening shot, but adapted, just causing a little bit of a slow burn.
The issue is, despite Noah Reason having clean sweeps in the first 2 matches, and I mean, they haven't won yet in Game 3, but they're clearly the aggressors here. They still just haven't been making it far enough in the end game. I mean, you saw they're 25th on the leaderboard. They went down 28th, 11th in the last one, so quite good, but only 1 elimination. So despite the early games, they're gonna have to figure something out for the late.
It's largely just because even when they get the clean sweep over at Squibbly, there's always another team or two that decides to roll on over. Teeny, Shark, though, they want to put an end to this conversation. Huddy going to be the first to fall, but Shark has been taken out with him. That's going to be elimination for elimination now. Teeny, though, I can see if he can clutch up. One of the best controller players on EU, but it seems like he'd rather just opt for the reboot play. Doesn't want to keep trying to force this fight. After that early departure in the last lobby, finishing 27th place, You can just tell that Teeny sort of recognizes the fact this game's going to be a lot easier if he's got Shark with him, and beating Fishy to the reboot ban is only going to make that so much easier to carry on later.
Yeah, you know, Fishy's going to be happy with the disengage. The thing is, how long is Shark and Teeny going to pursue it now? Will they go right back into the action, or will they try and play it a little slower here?
Look back into where that went south here.
Oh.
That honestly, Fishy, you got it. That was a really nice turn away, but well played. Forced the stalemate.
I would have
now
liked to
it's
see Fishy
what comes
even
next.
play more aggro there. I mean, I think he had the HP shield advantage, but Teeny did not let down. We can actually see now it's going to be Twek and Midro who are applying the pressure after the reboot.
And this comes as no surprise. First couple of lobbies, Twek and Midru had their plans kind of thrown all over the place, being contested by Darm and Deemish early on. So now they're trying to play a little bit of make up for lost time. Toy Box Docks, though, seemingly a little bit more in favor of Teeny and Shark right now, but if they can find these 2 eliminations, that would be a huge conversion for Shark and Teeny. It would definitely set them up nicely for an end game kind of run, but Twek and Midro, they need points. They also obviously wanted some Surge. Not too sold, though, that they were able to get everything that they were after.
Going back over to Focus and Thomas HD now. This is an interesting one. There's a lot of hype going into this major for Focus and Thomas. One of the best POIs on Contested. They're getting the loot every game. They're the type of team that will have a good strategy. But we just didn't really see a lot of them in heats. They won game 1. We didn't have the chance to see a lot of them in heats. And in Div Cups, they were playing well, but not well enough to be a #1, maybe even #2 duo. But now predictions going into this, that's where a lot of people are placing them. And I mean, they're not disappointing. They did have a bit of a rough start, though, at the 25th. So I'm a little concerned regarding consistency after the 12 matches. But I mean, we're just getting started. They're on con. If nothing changes up, consistency shouldn't be a problem.
I think the main thing for Thomas and Focus, though, is that we saw them consistently in those Div Cup finals. We saw them consistently in performance evaluation finals. And more often than not, they were still able to find strong finishes. I mean, we know that they've won multiple lobbies of those eval finals. We know that they even won a Div Cup final. So right now, they're looking to try and just win this battle against Prex and Glubshy. They've already got one piece of the pie. Looking to see if they could take another slice here with Glubshy. That's just 4 more elimination points. Something that Thomas and Focus are never going to scoff at. And they've got Glubshy on the run here. 2 different angles of approach, though. Focus just cleans it right up. That's going to be 8. And even though lobby #1 didn't go their way, that win in the last game, it did jump them up on the leaderboard to 4th place heading into this matchup. So I'll look back now into where things went right for Focus. Just a great collapse out of these 2. Excellent job guarding those vending machines, too.
I mean, there's a reason Thomas is dropping the mythic shotgun to Focus. My only issue was from the Div Cups. There was some kind of chemistry, synergy issues, but they have clearly been putting in the work.
Nah, some zones that were causing a lot of problems, and it wasn't just for them, Takata. It's one thing. When you have to be a track star in a lobby, and when you have to be a track star for multiple games of a lobby, it's bound to cause problems for anyone. Also, they did get surprise contested in at least 2 of those Div Cup finals, if I'm calling correctly. So I think that they have proven their worth, though, and that they are very much competent contenders, because a lot of people, even though they might be sorting Thomas more so for that 2nd place of this weekend's finals, it's the fact that they still got him in the top 2.
Yeah. The issue I'm having was actually in the end game is where I was seeing those kind of flaws. But in the heats, that's why I wanted to see a bit more of the performance in the recent set lobby heats, but they just won too quickly. And now they're winning as well in the major finals, but Noah and Reason, this might be exactly what they needed to actually solidify themselves a good loadout and setup going into the end game. They've been going down kind of in the mid section of the match despite winning the early game, but now with a good amount of damage and loot, this could be the match that they were looking for.
2-tick zone though. It's going to be a good reason for Hustle. Got to look back though into where things went right there for Reason. Nice drop in. XZ was not expecting company that quickly. Granted, they still got to actually make their way into the next zone. And even with those refreshes and the surge help there, Takata, it was obvious that Reason and Noah were definitely still in a little bit of a pinch. Other teams kind of looking in on where they were at and all that commotion had taken place.
Issue with having so many contested duos in the area. Yannis doing a great job though with a quick pickup. Our current leaders in terms of the lobby. Pablo Chino, how are they looking? 109 above. Look at the amount of teams that are rotating in here. This is going to get dangerous quickly as Pablo's already been cracked.
They thought they were going to get the chance to pounce right there. Instead, forced to come to yet another halt, and that definitely puts a sour mood on their Surge. 36 above right now, but they are above. It's just they know now they're going to have to go for a little bit more of a forced engagement as opposed to being able to kind of pick which sort of fight that they wanted to enter into. I drop the Medius lurking now. Mountain, Chap, Flixie, building in metal. It's the quietest builds, even with the Surge ticking away at them, but Chap is just too aware. Immediately catches oversight. Mary is going to be forced to send it onto height. They're working against the clock right now. iDrop even forced to drop his pizza early, but Flixie, Chap, you can see how much surge they have. They know that this duo, they've got to be desperate, given that they are just continuously trying to force this fight. But iDrop and Medius, again, they're so low on their surge. They have to get a conversion here, and it just keeps getting ticked further and further away from their direction. iDrop now getting ran down by Chap and Flixie, defending their original position here. And iDrop, one more tick. He's waiting for Storm to close out his game. And yeah, that surge, it was just too problematic to deal with.
This is huge for Chap and Flixie, not only because they just got a nice refresh and have over 1,000 surge, but the first match, Zone was close to Sanctuary, literally other corner of the map. And now finally, they've got a very solid north zone pull. They've got the loot. Everything is going their way in this match. So I'm hoping to see a big one.
Getting a little bit of insight now into where some teams are able to pick up some good eliminations. Scary and Saya is still looking to see what else they can gather. They know there's been a little bit of a rumble taking place on the mountain face. Phoenix and Wolvex trying to go toe-to-toe. Azad and Akrozi, but they won't be able to hold that one out still. Akrozi and Azad just getting beamed right now by Scary and Ciaz. And they're not the only ones. Look at all the shots coming in for the rest of the lobby. That was a quick drive-by though. And Ciaz will be forced to drop box back up. They are under a lot of pressure though with the surge takes.
See Sky and Scroll knock on Chap Flixie's door for Scary. Ciaz though, 25 below, just a couple shots needed to connect, and they are going to successfully do that. Issue is all the other players are doing the exact same thing. They're going to have to keep their lead here as Zone pulls further and further away from that snowy mountain.
And when you see teams that are so limited with their mobility options, and we are pulling towards the northern section of the map with so many elevation shifts, have to begin to wonder how they're actually going to fare. The lobby continues to develop here. Sky, Scroll, very familiar sights for these two right now. Just looking back, prime position, taking advantage of teams that were a little bit later to the punch because they were opting to try and find their surge elsewhere on the edge of zone. Focus though, tough position here as a solo. And with so many healthy teams kind of surrounding him, He's gonna really have to dig deep here to find a solid placement, because you don't want to lose hold of being inside that top 5, and that's exactly what he needed. Yarko going to be picked off, but he can't make it to the body loot just yet. Still, it's just buying time with the surge damage.
Better to play it safe than sorry. I got open to focus and clutch it up. Yapko Panzer, though, incredible zone pull. They're gonna have a bunch of opportunity here. Tag up some players. As now the rotate comes through. Big elevation change for a lot of teams here, but Panzer, Yapko are gonna capitalize exactly on that.
They might be able to even protect this launch pad to a certain extent. They could use it to try and stay out of sight, out of mind for the rest of the lobby. But Shark, Teeny, they got aggressive early on, and they are keeping it rolling in stride. Just a couple of really nice eliminations there, punishing teams that are looking to try and work their way into zone. Now everyone's going to start trying to send it, though, towards that front side. Yapko Panzer, they're going to have to try and defend their position. Looking back, trying to set up, fully aware of the fact they've got other teams on this same layer. So they're going to have to either go up or down, unless they're able to convert some eliminations here. But Sky, Scroll, same intentions.
Ooh.
Just trying to be a little bit more concealed here with the pullback. That's going to put them now in that front side position of zone.
I'm liking what I'm seeing, though. From 4th place to kick things off, all the way down to 27th in the most recent match. Now, Shark and Teeny up above, looking to see if they can close it with a big match. They've already got a very good amount of eliminations, but they've got to be careful right when they're splitting loot. The retake from Chap and Flixie comes through, but Flixie is going to fall all the way down alongside Chap, but it looks like they might have got ahead of zone. And it looks like Teeny's down as well. This is going to be tough for Shark as he's pushed into a solo situation.
Those opening shots from Chap and Flixie were all they needed. Shark and Teeny just sent tumbling down from height. Shark now as a solo. He's going to need Siphon, but he won't be able to get it. Just brought down, punished by Chap and Flixie. That was a great time to strike on height. Malibuka Vika, though, they might look to take a stab at it, but first they're going to need to get some form of elimination refresh here. Only one build now for Malibuka. Vico, hip to hip. They've got to stay as close to each other as they can to try and pull things off, but it's been disastrous. Chad Flixie, they're on ultimate low. We just saw them on hype because what do you know? Cammy and Hottie have managed to work their way up to the high ground. Skyjump, though, just going to overshoot it, and that's going to leave Momsy to just stay based inside of that secondary height technically, but Cammy, Hottie, they're wasting no time. They're tarping things out. Malibuka, Vico, they're just trying to contend with all these players stuck in the lower layers with them. Sky, Scroll, probably some of the healthier ones from the bunch, but still not a lot of materials to work with. All of these shifting elevation points have just caused everybody to burn through their materials. Cammy!
I think he slipped, goes down to fall. Skyjump now in the clouds. Sky down below as well picks up a knock. Vico, Malibuka now are completely out of the game. Skyjump as a solo, as Scroll and Sky without any materials are crumbling as well. More and more solos are forced to clutch this out, but the big duo that I have my eyes on is Chap and Flixie.
Chap Flixie have still managed to make it work. The revive was not for naught because Scroll still stuck deep in the ultimate low ground, trying to pray that he can find a third-party intervention for these teams. They're kind of working their way through so many of these pre-existing builds, but when you are one of the only duos left in the lobby, this is the perfect time to get a conversion here. But Azat, he's going to be able to get that elimination onto Scroll, now trying to contend with Chap and Flixie. They are doing a great job pushing these teams back. They've got frontside control. They know that another player is just tarping over ahead of them. Telio's going to opt to try and drop here. Azat has managed to work his way up, but he's got to keep his eyes on a swivel because Skyjump overhead. Flixie still managing to pull through, though. It's just a duo versus a sea of solos here at the end of the day. Takata and Chat Flixie, the moment they get a north pulling zone, they bring home the win.
capitalized on it instantly. Flixie showing how badly he wants to represent his own country in Germany, Dusseldorf, later this year. Let's see if they can continue the pace. We're heading back to our analysts.
Thank you so much. They needed a solid game, and I'm guessing they'll be delighted with that victory royale because Chap and Flixie were 34th on the leaderboard, page 4, before we went into that game. And it was similar to Cringe and Volker's win in game number 1, Mini Minor, them versus a load of solos.
Yeah, it was. I think they were the last duo there. There was 5 players alive. They were in a top 4 situation. Really nicely played from those guys. And actually at the end, I thought they played that low ground really, really well. Claimed a lot of the space, editing players down. It looked very, very sort of typical as you'd expect from a low ground team. So maybe this is something to expect from these guys moving forward. But again, like Taco said, North Pulling Zone, really favorable for them, and they made the most of it.
What can you say? I think these guys, in that situation, you just expect them to deliver, right? In that position, you just have to smash it home, and you can't let games like that go. You're right, though, Mini. The execution on it was great. I think the reality for this team is that they've kind of gone under the radar for a lot of people because, again, it's just not been the best of seasons for them. I think it's not been as flashy. The performances in general haven't been as amazing, but you can't doubt the talent here, right? Flixie and Chap have both shown in many duo finals over the years that they are 2 of the better players in the region. And in situations like this, Mini, where, again, they're just on low ground and you just have solos dropping down, it's barbecue chicken, man. It's easy for them, right? They're not going to have an easier situation than that. Give them props for that final shot there. Nice little jump shot there from Flixie. So, again, a good game, but we need to see more of that from these 2, right? I wouldn't, get too excited about them right now. We want to see them do that when zones aren't as favorable, maybe.
Well, we'll see what kind of zone they get after the break.
Me right.
welcome back. If you didn't know, we're going to Dusseldorf in May, and the top 20 duos from EU make it. So Chap and Flixie, obviously Flixie being from Germany, want to be one of those duos, which is why they got themselves a victory royale before the break, Mini Miner. Right, everyone in the audience is now caught up, so let's talk about some of the other duos, because Sky and Scroll, we're going to be talking about them after every single endgame with the consistent way that these guys are playing. Yes, Scroll ended up as a solo yet again, but Sky was with him for the long haul, Mini Miner.
Yeah, there's a little bit more smooth from them, a little bit more what we expect. In that last game, they were playing Storm. They couldn't get refreshes. They had to sort of survive a little bit uncharacteristically low on the materials and, of course, on the heals. But this one, Lemon, was a lot more characteristic for them, using, actually, the roller coaster to make an elimination right there, which is really nice, really crafty from them. But, again, really, really nice from these guys. Low ground plays, finding eliminations, staying hip to hip, a little Scroll solo clutch as well to get an extra placement point as well. Really nicely done from them.
Yeah, and taking out their competitors on the leaderboard in the end game, right? You saw them take Chino down, and now they move into first place.
Yes, this is where we're expecting to see them. And I'm so sorry for interrupting you there, Levin, but I got very excited to see where Focus and Thomas are, because I was a little bit concerned after that game. We didn't see much of them. I was thinking they were going to be further down the standings, but they are in fourth right now. So, Levin, all is not lost, clearly.
No, not at all. And I think the key thing for these guys is, when they make it to these end games, they're going to have to continue to frag out, because what we're already seeing from Sky and Scroll very early on in first place is that they are the consistent team, right? Their average placement so far today is going to be 6. I wouldn't be surprised if they were able to keep a single digit, average placement all throughout the weekend, right? And so if you are Focus and Thomas, how do you beat that? How do you top that? Especially where you might not be as consistent, you got to find the LMs, Vinny.
Yeah, you got to find those limbs. They got 6 of them in that last game. Of course, they can't find those placements. And we saw it in that previous game as well, managing to win up there on height. If they make it to those latter stages, they can pop off. It's just a matter of getting there. Again, a little bit of a difficult zone for them, more pulling towards the north, so not quite as favorable. But the talent that they both have, you expect them to pop off an endgame. It's just getting there.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard, because Shark and Teeny, that was a zone in their favour, given that it was ending on wonky land. However, early game fights off spawn did see Teeny have to reboot Shark 11, but it's great to see them in third place because they came back as if nothing had ever happened.
Yeah, look, it's a roller coaster of a game for them, right? And I know they obviously land wonky land, and so they're used to some rides. But ultimately, this game is a weird one, because it turned on its head, right? They started off rough, they go down, they're able to recover it really well, and you see moments like this where you're thinking, all right, they had a rocky start to the game, but they're right back in it. It's Shark and Teeny time, baby. And then this happens, and then you're like, oh, this might not be the game for them. And as good as Shark is, he's only able to do so much in this end game. And so you have a game where, yeah, we're looking at it ends in wonky. You're thinking, even with the rough start they had to the game, they're still in a position to deliver, and they don't quite squeeze enough points out of it, at least for a team of their level.
Missed opportunity. That's all I can think of right there. When you go down on spawn, you lose all that time. You have to scramble. You have to try and recover, go down in the end game, and the zone is at your drop spot. It is the worst feeling for them right now. Hopefully they can bounce back, though, and find a little bit more success off spawn, because ultimately that's what's causing them all the problems right now. We saw it when they get to end game. They're pretty good. They're getting those frags. They're staying consistent right there. Not quite sure what the play was with the overdrive grenade. Kind of like try to go down, try to not send himself too far. Maybe a bit of a misplay there in hindsight, but hopefully they can now bounce back.
You mentioned misplays, Mini Miner, and I know that you love a bit of full damage, and I can't believe we're doing this, but we're going to do it because Cammy and Harry were looking great in the end game, maybe feeling a bit of the pressure, especially that Chap and Flixie were piling on, and we lost Cammy in a rather unfortunate way, Mini Miner.
Yeah, I think I want to just clarify here. I don't love seeing players go down to full damage, but I love the fact that it can happen to them, right? It makes them feel human. It makes me feel better about myself, because yeah, that happens. Unfortunately, that is what happens in Fortnite if you fall that distance. Really unfortunate for Cammy. Again, another one of those situations where they were set up for success. Another missed opportunity for one of our teams here. Set up on height, now with Hari as well, in a much better position than we saw them in that first game. Less scrambly. Full damage. I mean, it's not something you'd expect from Cammy right there, but got a little bit unlucky.
I was expecting, Mini Miner, that you were going to pull off one of your GGs back to the lobby just then.
I think if I was the one that took him out, then maybe I would do that, but maybe not yet.
So let's talk about this next game that's coming up. We're halfway through day one. Obviously, there's 12 games across the entire weekend. Sky and Scroll, just the most consistent duo here, as we're expecting. But have there been any surprises so far for you, Levin?
I think Pablo and Chino looking as good as they did. I think there were